What's up, y'all? Welcome to the Power Up, man. This is going to be a good one. We're talking about we're talking about some big stuff. Chance and I were just catching up on some things and realizing that there's a big hole in a lot of our businesses, and it's generally in the space of kind of finding balance, right? Like finding like the healthy balance. And I think a lot of times I tend to think of balance as well. I need to focus an equal amount of time or energy in the several different spheres of my life: my work, my family, my faith, my finances, I guess kids is kind of part of family, but just making sure that I'm splitting my time up proportionately. And then the challenge comes into play when something demands a little bit more of my time, or the other side of it for certain people that are just driven and all they really care about is building business or the chase. And there's a lot of people, like, you may fall somewhere on that spectrum. But Chauncey, I think you got a pretty good perspective on that. So first of all, what's up? Tell me about your week.
Man, I think this topic is primed and actually a reflection of where I am in work and in business this week. With the grind of being an entrepreneur, right? With building business, with leveling up, doing the things that we do in this bridge builder network, you forget that all the other areas of life, or there's a tendency or a possibility, opportunity to forget and not put equal energy on the other parts of life that makes us human, right? That really motivate us to do the work and the grind and the stuff that we do, right? There are a few people who are just kind of innately wired one way, in other areas of their life, sacrifice for it. But for us wanting to be whole people and really level up our entire lives, right? We setting up and looking towards the next generation, building generational wealth. And to have generation, you have to have people around you for that, right? And so, it's important that we have intentionality towards our physical health, our mental health, our marriages, our families, our kids, our social lives in and of ourselves. We have to have that soul care, and then there's a tendency as you listen to all the big players of the world, Warren Buffett and Oprah says that, they get up 3 o'clock in the morning, all of these folks. And I get up at 4 o'clock, but what you failed to realize is that those people rest, right? They're taking naps by 1 or 2 o'clock. They didn't say you have to get up at 3 a.m. and stay up the whole time. You get up early so that you can beat the noise of the chaos of the rest of the world, the commotion. But then you have to rest, right? You have to spend time with your family. So sorry about that, but it's really important that we build balance as we build business, right? Build a balance in your life as you are in the motion, in the activity, in the effort of the grind, because that's the only way it's going to be sustainable. That's why you see the stories where, unfortunately, God rest him, Robin Williams and so many people. Who's the food guy? Anthony
Bourdain,
yeah. Like they have all the things. So they did the grind in the career, but lacking in other areas, and it's not worth it. So we don't want to gaslight and say, oh, just grind, work. You have to do that, right? You have to do that. And we're providing resources to help you navigate that in a tangible way. But in the same sense, you have to build a balance in your entire life as you are building your business. And we just wanted to lean into that posture, this evening on the Power Up, because we're going to, how to make the steps, take advantage of this, where to go, what to say, how to do it, build your team. We got the podcast, we got the network, we're in the Slack channels, we're communicating and we're buzzing around, but don't negate that balance. You got to have the rhythm in the routine. It is very, very, very important. And
so would you say that, like, to have a healthy balance, that like you need to have equal time, like, slotted out for every area of your life? Or like, I know some people's calendars are, what some would call a Swiss cheese calendar. That's like my calendar, where I've got a lot of empty space. And then other people like operate on a full calendar where there is no free space. they schedule everything, because if they don't have it scheduled, then it's just wasted time, right? There's a couple different camps. Like I think that probably lends itself to your personality type. I mean, what kind of how do you stay organized? How do you feel like you're able to move forward? But how do you kind of block off or balance, like find that balance? Is it a mathematical equation, or I mean, what's the way that you navigate that in your life?
So you hit it on the head. It is really imperative that we know who we are and how we function, right? How we are wired. There's a lot of different tests out there, personality tests, the Enneagram, the DISC. There are a lot of assessments out there that will tell you, okay, what do I need, right? We have to understand who we are, what are our strengths. That's part of, in business, knowing what you're good at, what you're strong at, so you know what you can get covered, right? Who you have to bring on to get the rest of this thing covered. But in that knowing, I am a type, high productivity type of person. So I don't need, 50-50 when it comes to work and rest, right? I need enough for the recharge. And you figure out what your rhythm is throughout the day, right? Or throughout the week, that you are actually downtime. I mean, God set it up, right? He said, work 6, rest 1, one whole day, and then that is sustainable rhythm. And so with that, do you get it, a couple hours every day, right? Where you just unplug, you detach, and it is about you, or you take one day, you shut it down. I know a lot of folks who have been very successful. I read the books and they're like, all right, I only work Tuesday, Wednesday, right? Or Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, or, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from, 8 to 12. So you have to know who you are, how you're wired, what serves you best, and then make sure that you are intentional to do it. And then here, the good thing about calendars and schedules is that they're flexible, right? You can change it. So, hey, I'll try this rhythm for a couple of weeks. And I figure, well, I'm a little bit more antsy. I feel, bored, idle. Well, put some more on there, right? Or, if you're getting through it and you're exhausted, you beat, you need a little bit more rest, so a little bit of trial and error to get to that. But again, as a builder, as an entrepreneur, as a business person, as you're building and growing your business, be intentional to build that balance.
Learning how to listen to and spot the cues where when you start to kind of feel stretched, and it's like, it's not the good kind of stretching. Like, I'm sure those of you listening that have, been in business for any length of time, entrepreneur, whatever, you've been in that time where there's that, like, I'm in it right now, where there's this like stretching happening, and it's not pleasant, it's uncomfortable, but that it's productive, that it's producing something. So you're going to lean into that tension. And you're going to, like I told my wife earlier today, I said, I know I sound like I'm complaining right now. I'm not. I really love this. I really love that I'm wrestling through this stuff. And I know that I'm going to get on the other side of it, and I'm going to be at a new base camp. But I have to wrestle through this right now and ask a lot of questions and talk through things, and, talk to mentors and other people and get opinions and perspective. So that is healthy. That's like healthy stuff. But then when you get to that point where you're just like, you're staring at your toes and your posture's down, or you can't focus, you can't think straight, and you're like, I don't know what to do next. And so it seems like every decision you make is putting you into kind of a tight predicament. That's a good time to push pause, take a break, take a nap, go do something social with friends, go out for a date night with your wife, like do things that kind of just, I guess you would call a pattern disrupt, get you outside of that cycle of doing the same thing over and over and over, and learning to listen for those cues, and recognize them when they come. And like you said, Chauncey, those calendars are flexible. I mean, you can change stuff. So
another indicator though, Peter, another indicator is not just your body posture, but the people around you, right? Your spouse is going to hey, look, I'm missing you, right? Your kids will be pulling like, Dad, I hadn't seen you. Dad, what's going on? Dad, let's play, And so the people in your life, you could have capacity to continue in the grind, but the people in your life will be, kicking and screaming for attention. They need you around. So you have to build that balance in, like my wife needs so much, time. And if I'm not giving it to her, then, I'm a bad husband, right? You know what I'm saying? I give her,
Yep.
I kind of meet in the middle. It's like, okay, hey, we got a thing, but I give her more and I'm a great husband, and so the people in your life are also good indicators to, whether or not you have good balance, as you are doing this thing that we call business.
Well, and when you're, I'll just kind of tag onto that too, is when your number one motivation, when you're really clear about your goal and your motivation and why you're doing what you're doing, then, like you said, when your wife, your kids, your friends, they start saying like, hey man, I've noticed that you haven't been available. Like you've been around, but you've been kind of, are you okay? Are you doing okay? Those types of cues too are, you need to take note of that. Like if you have a friend, someone that knows you, that just picks up that something's off and they call it out or they identify it, don't be offended by that. I mean, this is someone that cares about you and they're trying to, feel you out and what's going on? Are you okay? And maybe use that as a cue to say, you know what, maybe I do need to talk through something. Maybe I do need to take a rest. Maybe I do need to, shift some things around to get back on top. And what happens? What's that story? I can't remember if you told me that story or not. The tree chopping, the two guys who were chopping trees. One guy, I don't know if it was you, maybe it wasn't. It fits perfectly. Two guys were chopping down trees in the forest. One guy would sit out there and chop down all day long. He was just hacking at trees, and the old guy, the other guy, would go and chop down trees in the morning, and then he would leave for a couple of hours and go back home, and then he'd come back and chop down some more trees. And he worked about, maybe 5-6 hours, where the other guy was working like 8 hours. But the old man was chopping down way more trees. So at the end of the day, the young guy goes, "Hey, what's going on? Like, how are you able to chop down so many more trees than me? And you're working less time than I am. And where do you go in the middle of the day?" And the guy says, "Oh, I go home and sharpen my axe." And there's like, so if your tool belt, if your tools aren't sharp, if you're in the grind, what happens when you're grinding? You get dull. Like sometimes you get sharper, but sometimes you get dull.
That's
and
good.
and so if you're finding that maybe you're working 10 hours a day and you're like, man, look at how productive I am. I'm working 10-hour days. I'm working 12-hour days, whatever. But are you really being that much more productive than you would be if you worked 6 hours or 8 hours, but you were more intentional with those hours and your tools were sharp? So anyway, that'd be my take on that.
That's perfect, bro. That's perfect. Look, thank you guys for being a part of this Bridge Builder Network. We're building bridges and changing lives. Our goal is always that, helping you level up. And part of it is be intentional, right? Build that balance. Go home, sharpen your axe, get the rest, tend to your family, tend to yourself, holler at your friends, take the breaks, build the rhythm, and you decide what it is that you need, because you're in it for the long haul, not the burnout. So we'll see you on the next Power Up.